Alrighty, good evening, veggie friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry for the slightly late start. You know who I am. I am Dr. Natalie, the vegan pediatrician. I help families just like you to raise healthy plant-based children and in turn have healthy plant-based families. So please share this video with your friends on your own page, and please follow me on social media as the vegan pediatrician, and check out my website, theveganpediatrician.com. So tonight's talk is going to be about the flu and the flu shot. So, as you know, we're right in the middle of flu season. Flu season runs roughly October to May. And so the flu virus is spread through droplets, so through cough, sneeze. That's why it's really important if you cough or sneeze to cough or sneeze into your arm, not into your hand. The reason is if you should cough or sneeze into your hand and you have the flu or some other germ, you then touch an object like a doorknob or a light switch. If someone comes behind you and they touch that, then they can become infected, particularly if they touch and then touch to their eyes or mouth or nose. It can also be shared through close contact and through saliva, so such as sharing drinks or toothbrushes, if people do that. At any rate, flu symptoms include fever, chills, body aches, some nasal symptoms, headache, fatigue, generalized feeling of being unwell. And so some of the complications of the flu include pneumonia, sepsis, which is infection. In kids, they can also have diarrhea or even seizures, particularly with the fever. And then, of course, there's a risk of worse outcomes for people who are chronically ill or have chronic illnesses. Those at high risk for complications include infants and young children, adults over the age of 65, or again, anyone with a chronic condition. In addition, people whose immune systems are fragile, so anyone who's had like an organ transplant, who has an immune deficiency, whether it be genetic or acquired, people who are taking steroid medications, or who are taking medications like for autoimmune conditions, they're at higher risk. So the flu vaccine itself is available for age 6 months and up. It's recommended early in the flu season, as early as possible. Babies and young children will get 2 doses separated by 1 month. It is recommended that it's given every year. Okay, and so the flu vaccine includes killed or inactivated particles of the flu virus. There's no live virus in the flu shot. So you're not getting the actual flu virus when you get the vaccine. When you get the killed particles of the vaccine, your body can still mount an immune response, and you can make antibodies, which will then protect you against the strains of the flu that are included in that vaccine. And so the flu shot contains roughly 3 to 4 strains of the flu virus. And those strains that are included in the vaccine, those are determined based on intense research for viruses, the strains that are predicted to be the more common ones for the upcoming flu season. Okay, so why do people get sick after the flu shot? So, after the flu shot, you may get some mild symptoms. I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. But it takes some time for your body actually to mount that response to the flu shot. So it takes about 2 weeks. So if you're getting sick immediately after the flu shot, it's not from the flu shot. What happens is this is flu season, but it's also cold season. So you have a gazillion, that's a medical term, gazillion. You have a gazillion different cold viruses out there. You have a gazillion different cold viruses out there that you can become exposed to. And oftentimes we're exposed and we're not showing symptoms and for another day or so. And so we already have this virus incubating in our body. Then we get the flu shot and we think, oh my gosh, now I'm sick because of the flu shot. No, you're sick because you likely were already exposed to, again, one of those many cold viruses that are out there at the same time of year. So saying that you got the flu shot and you got sick from the flu shot, it's just like saying you quenched your thirst and you wanted to drink water, but you drank sand and you got your thirst quenched. It just doesn't make sense, right? So who can't be vaccinated against the flu? So babies under 6 months of age, people who have a history of a condition called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a syndrome in which a person's nervous system is affected. They become paralyzed from the bottom up. And then anyone who is ill, such as someone with a fever or who has a chronic illness and they're having a flare-up. So those people at the time, they are not eligible to get the flu shot. And of course, if I didn't mention it, anyone who's had an allergic reaction to the flu shot before or to any of the particles or ingredients of the flu shot. So common reactions after the flu shot, soreness at the site where you got the shot, headache, some mild cold symptoms, mild fever, some aches, and maybe some fatigue. Those symptoms last about 1 to 2 days, and they go away on their own. And of course, I talked about the more serious reactions, Guillain-Barré, seizures with fever, particularly in young children, and then anaphylaxis. If you're not sure about anaphylaxis, check out one of my earlier videos in which I talked about that. That's severe allergic reaction. And then with any vaccine, people can, become dizzy or faint, okay? Because, nobody likes shots, right? So effectiveness. So the effectiveness of the flu vaccine is roughly 40 to 60% among the general population. And so why is that? Well, think of the flu virus. I like to use this analogy that, the flu virus or influenza is like, a heading. But then you have all these different strains underneath. So think about, you have the word car. And then you have all these different mix of model of cars. They're all cars. They all belong under that same umbrella of car, but they're all different. So same thing with the influenza virus. There's influenza, but then you have all these different strains underneath. And so it's impossible to make one vaccine that's going to cover you against all of those, right? So that's one reason why it's not as effective, okay? But even still, even with that 40 to 60% effectiveness, you still see some reductions in ICU admission, both for children and for adults, for lessened prolongation of the illness should you become infected with a different strain of the virus. And so you still get some benefit. Sorry, my battery is running very low, so I'm going to speed this up. At any rate, so why would a doctor recommend that you still get a flu shot if it's only between 40 to 60% effective? Alrighty, so I'm glad you asked. In 2009, car crashes killed about 33,000 people and injured 2.2 million. Front seat passengers wearing a seatbelt have a 45% reduced risk of death from a crash and a 50% reduced risk of injury. Children who are properly restrained in their car seats at the time of a crash have a 71 to 82% reduction of risk, and children who are 4 to 8 in their booster seat, if they're properly restrained, they have a 45% reduced risk of injury. Motorcyclists who are wearing their helmets in the time of a crash, they have a 37% reduced risk of death and a 69% reduced risk of injury. So seat belts, safety seats for children, helmets, they're not 100% effective at preventing injury and disease, but we still recommend them. Injury and death, but we still recommend them, right? So same thing with the flu shot. Some protection is much better than no protection at all. And so just remember that if you're getting immunized, you're also helping not just to protect yourself, but you're protecting other people who may not be able to become immunized. So very young children, people with fragile immune systems, elderly people, you're helping to protect them as well. And so last but not least, hopefully this will not run out on the battery, is the flu shot vegan? Okay, so actually it's not vegan. However, I do want to state that many activities that we engage in every day are not 100% vegan. We are still leaving some sort of carbon footprint. And so, I try to balance what I do in my daily life. Am I doing the best? Am I doing this for the greater good? So if I'm healthy, I can go to work, I can take care of kids, I'm not infecting them. not putting them at risk. Not only my patients, but also other people who come to the clinic, so elderly people who are coming. I'm not putting them at risk by my being sick. And so if I'm doing, it's like 5 minutes for this shot. So if, the other 364 days, 23 hours, and 50 some minutes of the year, if I'm doing good, I do feel some relief in my conscience that I'm actually helping. And so that's kind of how I kind of reconcile getting the flu shot, even though it's not completely vegan, because I'm better able to help people, like now, help people to learn about nutrition and health, and I'm able to be a more effective doctor if I'm not somewhere sick. So that's all I have for you tonight, veggie friends. I do see some questions down there. I'm going to plug in so that this doesn't cut off, and then I will answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please share this video. Please follow me on social media as the Vegan Pediatrician. Please check out my website, theveganpediatrician.com. Definitely reach out to me if you have any other questions. Until next time, be well and eat plants. Thank you.